Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 60 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And I am your host, Brian. And we're going to try and do a short episode tonight. We're going to try and do as little editing as possible because we're recording later than normal. So hopefully we won't make too many mistakes that Tim will have to leave in just due to time.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't talk over each other the entire time, which is another thing I have to do.
Oh, that's right. You know what? Yeah, so you may have unusually long pauses in between Tim and I talking.
Yeah, but anyway, this is a very special episode because we are celebrating Brian's upcoming birthday. Yay!
Hey, thank you.
He's going to be a svelte 30 years old.
Yes, I'll go with that one.
So we are doing Happy Birthday to Me. This is a movie from 1981 that I had actually never seen before. This is one of those early slashers I had not gotten a chance to see, so I was looking forward to it.
We're really checking the boxes off for your 1980 classic slashers this year.
You really are. I've been delving too much into the 70s lately. I haven't come up for air into the 80s often enough, so that's good.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
All right, well, let's get right into it. We have a lengthy first chop. All right, Brian, well, I got a lot watched over this past week, and I don't really know the reason why. I was in that mood, I guess, and I just started kind of thumbing around through Prime and looking for stuff to watch, and I stumbled across an anthology series called The Witching Hour. And this was it almost seemed like an anthology movie at one point, that maybe they just broke it all out into separate episodes. It kind of had that feel, even though there was no real wraparound. But it's definitely very indie. So if you can imagine an indie horror movie level budget, but as an anthology series, it's kind of odd. But it was okay. Like any anthology, some of the episodes were better than others. But I really liked they had a lot of old Halloween props, like the vintage Halloween mask and the decorations and things like that. So if nothing else, I enjoyed it for that part of it, because all the intros and stuff featured some of those really old school vintage Halloween props. I like those a lot. Oh, that's neat.
So yeah, that's good.
And the second one I watched on Prime was one I had seen recommended by the Shockwaves podcast. Rebecca McKendry on there had recommended Sounds of Silence from 1989. Now, I will warn you going in, the video quality on Prime is terrible. They don't care what kind of quality they put up, honestly.
Yeah.
Some of their stuff looks horrendous, especially when you blow it up to full screen. But yeah, this one's from 1989. It looks a lot older just because of the quality. But it's about a guy that basically inherits an orphanage, or an old orphanage, or an ex-orphanage. And it is haunted by the ghost of the orphans there, and there's a lot of shots of something that I'm not usually real keen on, and that's when you show the ghost kids for too long in a movie. We've talked about it with Sinister. We talked about it with some other movies. Like, it kind of takes me out of the film. I will have to say, though, this film had some of the best ghost kids I've ever seen. Like, they were really genuinely creepy, and there were some really cool creepy scenes in this one. Like, it's a very slow burn type movie. I can't say it was fantastic, but if you're just looking for something to watch and you want to see some really creepy ghost kids, it's worth seeing. It does have a kind of a wacky soundtrack, but it's something to check out. It's a curiosity. I've never heard of this movie. it seems kind of a rarity, so give that one a shot if you're bored.
I have to check it out. Now, by any chance, is the soundtrack from Simon and Garfunkel? Or?
No Mrs. Robinson or anything on it, but
okay.
And then the last one I watched was on Netflix. This is Haunters, The Art of the Scare. This is a documentary I've been looking forward to seeing for a long time now. I don't know when it landed on Netflix because I had not run across it before, but this is the one that's basically about various haunts. It goes over Halloween Horror Nights, which we're getting ready to go to this year. It has a lot on McCamey Manor, which is that really extreme haunt.
Oh, yeah.
Some say the most extreme haunt. And then it has a lot on Blackout, which you're probably familiar with, Brian, and up in New York. So
never did it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll be doing it for this podcast anyway, from what I've heard. Not so much that I would be, scared of anything. I just, the whole thing where they, the gross out stuff with, my OCDs would be flaring. I don't think I'd be able to
they were mentioning this, like there's one part where like this naked man would chase you through a tunnel or something. It's like, I don't know if I want to.
That was on the way. That just happens in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's
that happens
getting
all
off
the
the
time.
subway. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, highly, highly recommend this documentary. It's really cool. You get to see a lot of the stuff. It goes through a lot of the controversy around McCamey Manor. Whether this guy is like a freaking psychopath or not, and some of the attempts by the city to get him shut down and that kind of stuff. So it's really, really interesting. I highly recommend Haunters: The Art of the Scare.
Yeah, I've had that in my queue for a while. I need to now you got me really intrigued to watch it.
Yeah, it's really good. And Brian, I'm going to let you bring us up to date on Friday the 13th so I don't keep talking.
Yeah, so we got a major game update. Now, I don't think this is the new engine that they've been promised, but I think they probably, since they went behind schedule, they wanted to release something along the anniversary time, because believe it or not, this game has been now almost a year old. It came out May 26th of last year. So remember, I think it came out while we were at Carowinds.
Yeah.
So so it's a year later. They did the single-player challenges are now being released, which we've discussed before. The Council of Victoria Sterling, they're fixing the Jason Part 7. He had a couple of glitches. He wasn't as powerful as some of the other Jasons, and his stats were off, basically. There were also some technical stuff. They're fixing the grabs, because I guess you could... I know I've dealt with this where I've literally tried to grab and the counselor's right in front of me and he'd completely miss. Gets very frustrating, and as Steve Cohn will tell you, especially when his Jason never seems to be working. They were going to release a Jason weapon swapping, and although I saw, I think it's like at level 113 you have to get up to.
Oh my
which
gosh.
I am far from, but you'll be able to actually take any Jason and mix with any weapon, which is kind of cool, since Jason always had various weapons. And they're adding some more skins for Roy Jason, because I guess there was a debate. It was like, remember that whole blue gold dress fiasco? Yeah. The internet went crazy. Well, supposedly there was a blue green Roy overall controversy going on in the game, so they're adding both.
Well, at least it wasn't Laurel or Yanny. So
right, it wasn't that. So and I guess they adding a couple more extra ones where he's got the bloody outfit, which is kind of neat. And also one more thing for the release anniversary from the 24th, which is when this drops, by the way, 24th to the 29th, which is my actual birthday. They are doing the 130 plus experience points. So every point you get, it times it by 130%, which is a huge way to climb up in experience points. So Seth, I know you haven't started yet. Get going.
Yeah, I really need to jump on this weekend.
Yeah, you too. You need to catch up. And Cody, I know you said you just got the game somewhat recently, so this is a good opportunity for you to catch up and unlock some Jasons. And one final thing, they're going to do double tape drops, which are really impossible to find. I think the entire time I've been playing, I have a total of 4, 2 Pamela's tapes and 2 Tommy tapes, but supposedly going to double your odds for that. So that would be a good time to jump in there.
All right, well, back to my Backlog Project. Yes, it's still going behind the scenes. I'm still digging into it. And I got to do a new film this week. This was The Mummy's Tomb from 1942. Now, if you recall way back when I did the sequel to The Mummy, which was The Mummy's Hand, I believe, I didn't like that one at all. It had a very comedic overtone to it I didn't like. Let me tell you, The Mummy's Tomb might be one of my favorite Mummies movies out of that whole classic series. It's really, really good. You remember when I talked about Werewolf of London?
Yes.
Was so phenomenally good. Well, this film was shot the same year as Werewolf of London. So I don't know what was in the water at that time, but this one was really good. It had all the elements you'd want in a mummy movie. It's got the curses. It's got the mummies actually not scary. I've never found the mummy actually scary, but he kills. He's mindless. He embodies what you want in a mummy movie. So I really, really recommend The Mummy's Tomb from 1942. In my opinion, Now, I have not seen, I think that there's 2 more I've got to watch in this box set. I haven't seen those
Oh,
yet.
that's in our set.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But so far, this has been by far my favorite. In fact, it even, to me, is better than the original, personally.
Nice.
So, very, very highly recommended. And I guess I'll go right on into the Alphabet Project. So this week was the letter E. This was harder than you would think to find a letter E movie, because I'm not doing the, like it can't start with the. It has to start with the letter. I'm being very strict.
Right.
So this is an AKA movie. I just ran across it on Prime. I sorted by horror, sorted by alphabetical. I found this one looked interesting. It's called Encore from 1978. If you look at it in IMDb, it's also called The Comeback. And this was about a pop star who basically is trying to kind of revive his career. So he ends up going to this creepy old mansion to record his new album. And while there, he is not only stalked by a killer, but he is also haunted by the ghost of his ex-wife. So this is a weird slasher haunting hybrid movie, if you can believe that. And somehow it all works. This movie it's extremely slow. So like a lot of 70s movies, it's very, very slow paced. But the moments of horror in it are so gut punching. I mean, super creepy killer, just really horrific scenes in this movie. So I think the slow burn of the movie actually helps it, because you get lulled into this sense of false peace, and then you get punched in the gut with these like crazy, crazy sequences. So I would highly recommend Encore. Also, some fun trivia. It actually used real blood in this movie.
Wow.
They had a blood bank donate expired blood, and they used actual real blood in some of the scenes. And then,
interesting.
Because the movie featured a pop star, there was a couple of big pop stars up for the lead role. One was Ringo Starr of Beatles fame, and one was Cat Stevens. Now, the producers ultimately went with Jack Jones, who you may not recognize, but you've heard him before because he is the singer of the Love Boat theme.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
At one part, did he go, "It's encore"?
I wish.
Soon we'll be making another scene.
I didn't find out until after I'd seen the movie that's who. I had no clue who Jack Jones was, but
maybe this might be that might be another tease to what our musical episode will sound like.
Yeah, there you go. So you get ready to delete that one now ahead of time.
Yeah, we'll warn you plenty of time.
Yeah. Anyway, Encore 1978. It's on Prime. Go check it out. Really, really good.
Nice.
So, Brian, you had a fun trip recently. You went up to Cedar Point.
Yes, we headed up to the self-proclaimed roller coast Cedar Point. Now, I know this is theme park related, but this has a very, very important connection to Civil Gore. And of course, that is where Tim and I actually met for the first time. We had chatted in chat rooms and on Facebook through the Costa Radio fan page. And so we kind of, knew each other briefly, but that was actually when Civil Gore probably was in its beginnings, because we probably, I'm sure multiple times had discussed about our love of horror films during that time. So, I mean, that basically could be traced back to the early seeds of Civil Gore, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's huge. And another little so we actually, of course, we went down there to try the new roller coaster, Steel Vengeance, which is fantastic. But another little horror element there that's kind of hidden. They don't have any kind of traditional haunted house or anything there, but they do have on their train ride a amazing little section it's hardly even mentioned anywhere. You don't even see it on like the ride description of the train or anything, but they have a little section called Bonesville, which is these pretty top-notch animatronics. I think especially for that type of a park that's not Disney or Universal or anything. And there's a whole bunch of towns. The town is all over basically skeletons. They're playing musical instruments. They're kind of moving, waving at you and doing kind of thing. There's a burning house. And I remember that was one of definitely the highlights to discover at Cedar Point, that if you didn't know. So there is a little bit of horror there too.
Yeah, I love that train. That was definitely a gem for me. Like, obviously I went for the roller coasters, but discovering a hidden little gem like that was a lot of fun.
Right, and it's not advertised anywhere.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's only the people that have been to the park or have grown up with the park usually seem to know about it, and it's actually one of the most popular, popular sequence. And it's funny because Julie and I were riding the train with our friends Charlie and Jesse, also from Coastal Radio, and we were on the train, and it's so funny. We were all commenting about like the first part of the train where we got on, because we got on in the middle of the park. The first part is kind of dull. You're just kind of going around. You have the water on the left side of you, but overall the train ride is boring. And then once you get out of that frontier section and then move on your return trip back, it's like all Bonesville. It's great.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, we have an update for Rob Zombie's upcoming film 3 from Hell. So we had a picture, I don't say leaked, it was released.
Yeah.
Of Captain Spaulding in prison, so I'm really excited about that. I've got a framed picture I'm looking at right now of Captain Spaulding, autographed, that I got up at Monster Mania last year. So,
yeah, and actually, a couple since I put that on the rundown, a couple more pictures were released. I think within the last few hours. Showed Bill Moseley, and I think there was a Sherry Moon Zombie, a picture of Baby there, but I couldn't tell if that was from this movie or another one, and they were just kind of putting pictures. But it definitely was in a little post about 3 from Hell. But either way, of course, that's gonna start to, I'm sure as the days go on, it'll start popping up with some more scenes and stuff. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that one because I think The Devil's Rejects and House of Thousand Corpses I think they're more fondly looked upon now than they were when they were first released, maybe.
Right.
I think at the time, that was one of Rob Zombie's first movies, so people were still trying to get a feel for him as a filmmaker. But I think now he's had a lot of films under his belt. I think those are kind of looked on more favorably, I guess.
I loved them both.
I did too. Yeah, I really like both of them. And then we have some Stephen King news. Dr. Sleep, which is the official sequel to The Shining, is coming out in January of 2020. Mike Flanagan. So I am very much looking forward to this one.
Yeah, Stephen King has got a nice slate of his movies coming out in the next few years. This is really good.
His brand, I saw an article that said Stephen King's brand has never been hotter. And I mean, that's the truth. I can't remember a time, and I've followed Stephen King since I was a kid. I cannot remember a time when he was as big a deal as he is right now in terms of projects coming out. I mean, he always had a movie coming out here and there or a new book, but never at the rate. I mean, this is like everything the guy has written or is writing is being adapted into some form.
Yeah. I mean, and just like the recent release, I mean, even though Dark Tower didn't do well, but you had It, you had Gerald's Game, all these things are just coming out, and you have the, It Part 2, Pet Sematary remake. I mean, some of this stuff is just... It's just blowing up his stuff. And so I can't wait to see what else is getting announced. It's like almost every couple of days you hear something else.
Right. I just got his new book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm very much looking forward to that one.
Oh, and we didn't put on the rundown. He had released was it Laura, I guess, the story? He just released a free short story online?
Yeah, he released a free short story online in preparation for the new novel, which is The Outsider. So.
Right. Big Stephen King stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited. And last but not least, we have the Retro Picture Show event, Pay to Get Out Marathon. Tell me about this one, Brian, because this sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I thought they only did this around Halloween, but I guess they're doing, maybe they must do it throughout the year. Maybe they got their hands on some of the good stuff. So the tickets are going to go on sale on Friday, June 8th, but the actual event is Saturday, August 11th. And if no one's familiar with one of those pay to get out marathons, it's basically you pay in advance, but if you survive the night and see everything, you will receive $10 back and free breakfast after the final feature, which is nice because you'll probably be starving after being a whole night of movies. And so here, listen to this full lineup of movies. It's kind of a wide array of different genres and stuff, but it is really cool. So it starts off with Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. So, that's a great kickoff to start because she hosted so many horror marathons herself. So to actually have that movie hosting it.
That's really cool.
I mean, that's great. And it's a 30th anniversary screening, which is good. And now let me say, I should say, these are all in 35 millimeter vintage prints. So you're not getting any kind of digital thing. You're getting the way it was originally done, which is great. Then you have Hellraiser, the original,
which we'll be seeing soon for our summer slaycation.
Yes. Well, so, but now, I mean, what a way to see this. This would have been great because I did not see this in the theater. Then followed by Creepshow 2, which another one which I would have loved to see in the theater, but I ended up not getting to, and I saw it when it released on video. Followed by that, you get Leatherface, A Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which is another one, which is one of those surprisingly really beloved sequels to that movie. It was kind of off the wall, just like some of them went, but still, that's another one which would be really fun to see in the theater. Then you get House.
I have not seen that in forever.
Yeah, me either. And that was directed by Steve Miner, Friday the 13th fame. So that's a kind of a cool thing. Yeah, because I haven't seen that forever, let alone on a screen. And then Blood Feast from 1963. Herschel Gordon Lewis. Look at that. A timely. Civil Gore was ahead of it by a week with the discussion of him. And then after that, here's one that's kind of really cool. The Stuff, which is the rare pre-release cut
of
wow. It. Yeah, which I didn't even know there was such a thing.
That's a Larry Cohen picture of Q fame.
Right, so it seems like Civil Gore has been kind of like previewing all these things for you in some form or another.
Yeah, plus I see here a mystery feature, right?
Right, yes, a very special mystery feature. So, potluck there. Who knows what that could be? But I know if it's Retro Picture Show, it will not be disappointing. It's not like they're going to throw up some, like, cheesy thing they find on Amazon Prime, or anything. No, this is going to be probably something pretty epic because they put on, like I said, just a fantastic show. I know I'm definitely going to try and go to this. I just have to see. Hopefully I am available because this thing would be fantastic. And it starts at 9:30 p.m. It goes to 10:30 a.m. the next day.
Oh my God. I would have to do it
It's
once.
A day.
I'd have to do it once.
Yeah, it's a day. Yeah, you'll have to come. You'll have to take a trip to New York when they have one of these, because then we'll just record and tweet all night. But yeah, so definitely anyone in the tri-state area or if they can get to this thing, I mean, try not to miss this if any available. They put on such a great show. The people that run it are awesome. You get a ton of great horror fans around you. It is literally the best way to see some horror movies, whether you've seen it for the first time or the 1,000th time. Seriously.
Cool. All right, well, let's get right into our dismemberment.
Wait, no, please, God. No, don't cut off my...
Okay, these are the Blu-ray releases for May 29th, 2018. And the first one up is a film I saw fairly recently. That was Annihilation. That was the Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh movie about the strange, portal. Not a portal, it's a barrier that appears. And they venture into it, and I went into this one thinking it was a pure sci-fi movie, but it's actually got a lot of horror elements in it. So I would definitely recommend it if you didn't catch it the first time around the theater. Go check it out when it comes out on Blu-ray. It's directed by Alex Garland. This one's released by Paramount. A biologist signs up for a dangerous secret expedition into a mysterious zone where the laws of nature don't apply, and it does have 3 featurettes, which is about all you can ask for a Paramount release. So,
well, especially because it's. I was going to say 2 things about that, especially because it's coming out pretty quickly after it was in the theater.
Yeah.
But it's funny to me to see the release company as Paramount when I'm so used to like Vinegar Syndrome and what's the other one? The Scream Factory. But there's that other one we always make fun of. Code
RKO
Red, Pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also it has Tessa Thompson, who's awesome.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
From Thor Ragnarok.
Well, next up we have Zombie 3 from 1988. This was released by
this time
Severin.
We dropped the E.
Yeah, this time the E was bitten off. Released by Severin Films, directed by Lucio Fulci, Claudio Fragasso, who also is one of those guys that hides his name. So I'm exposing you, Claudio Fragasso. He goes under a different director. But starring Darren Serafian, Beatrice Ring, and Ottaviano Dell'Acqua.
Right, you said that one really good.
Yeah, Ottaviano Dell'Acqua. When a terrorist body infected with a stolen chemical is cremated by the U.S. military, a virus is unintentionally released into the atmosphere over a small island. This one has a 2K remaster, interviews, and an audio commentary.
Now, were these were these supposed to be sequels to the original Zombie?
I think so. But I don't know what happened to Zombie 2 because it's not being released. It's just 3 and 4, as you'll see. But I do believe these are true sequels, but don't quote me on that because I have not seen these movies.
Yeah, I've never heard of these sequels. So
the next one up is Zombie 4: After Death from 1989, another Severin release, directed by Claudio Fragasso under yet a different name, starring Jeff Stryker, Zombie Killer, Candace Daly, and Massimo Vanni. I love this synopsis too. A woman goes back to the island where her parents were killed. They had been working on a cure for cancer and accidentally raised the dead by angering a voodoo priest. With the woman...
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Well, how did they anger him? What did they do?
That happens sometimes when you're trying to discover a cure for cancer. You end up pissing off the local voodoo priest.
That's true. That does happen.
With the woman is a group of mercenaries, and they meet up with some other researchers. They raise the dead again, and all hell breaks loose. Ba-dum-dum.
They didn't learn the first time?
Yeah. I don't know. This one has interviews and behind the scenes footage, so check those out if you're a zombie fan.
This next one's making me laugh already.
Yeah, this is a great one. Okay, this one is micro budget. This one may have a zero budget. I don't know, based on the cover art. This one's called Bloodsuckers from Outer Space from 1984, released by our good friends at Vinegar Syndrome, directed by Glenn Coburn, starring Robert Bradeen. Big John Brigham.
I know. Oh my god, that's like a wrestler. That's what I can think of. Like now entering the ring
and,
at a combined, at a weight of 350 pounds.
Big John
Brigham. Yeah, exactly.
My gosh.
That's all I can picture.
And it stars the director, which is always a great sign. Glenn Coburn is the star. The synopsis is very simple. Farmers in Texas become brainwashed bloodsuckers. This one features a 2K... This is an astonishingly rich disc for that synopsis. 2K restoration, audio commentary, a documentary, a featurette, and a still gallery. So there may be more extras than movie here. I don't know.
And I bet Glenn Coburn, since he seems like the man of the hour in this film, did probably everything.
Yeah,
he probably did he did the whole commentary. He hosted the documentary.
He drew the cover
did the
art.
Features.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of Vinegar Syndrome, I don't even think it was necessarily rundown worthy because I figured we would have an opportunity to talk about them as they always are mentioned. They're actually having a halfway to Black Friday sale supposedly this weekend on a lot of discs. Yeah, we got the email, so you could actually check that out, Tim, too. It's in our Civil Gore email. But anyone else, just go on the Vinegar Syndrome site, and you can probably you sign up for the newsletter, number one, which gives you some great release news, but also it'll tell you more about the sale. There's some really high-priced discs in there, and they said there's 2 surprise releases that are like $2,500 and I think $1,500 editions. So,
cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting.
All right, next up is Shocking Dark from 1989, released by Severin Films, directed by Bruno Mattei. Starring, I probably butchered that. I don't, Mattei?
No, I think Mattei.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Starring Christopher Ahrens, Haven Tyler, and Jaretta.
Why is it twice?
Or Garetta. I don't know. I don't even know if it's a man or a woman. It's just Jaretta. In a polluted...
that's one of those...
Jeez.
Yeah, we'll never get the answer.
In a polluted future Venice, researchers work to improve the situation. Oh, that's good.
What are they, like, scooping out the water, excess water? I don't understand.
They're picking up Pepsi cans. I mean, they're trying.
Yeah.
One day, unknown forces start killing them. A team of soldiers and a couple of civilians is sent to investigate. Soon, they encounter strange, murderous creatures.
Well, that was inevitable. I mean, whenever you ever notice that in any of those movies, where mysterious creatures come, they're always either trying to clean up something or dispose of toxic waste, trying to get rid of something, and it always ends up leading to this.
Yeah, never learned. Lessons never learned. No. This one has a 2K remaster and 2 interviews. So this one's kind of up my alley. This one seems interesting.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is, it's very timely if you think of who stars in it and who directed it, based on this week's.
That's right.
Episode.
Yeah. So this one is the reincarnation of Peter Proud from 1975. This is being released by Kino Lorber, directed by J. Lee Thompson, starring Michael Sarrazin, Jennifer O'Neill, and Margot Kidder.
Yes.
So get ready. There's like a novel for this synopsis.
I know. I was gonna
Jeez.
say you might as well. But I don't know if you should either listen to the synopsis that Tim does or just go watch the movie. Which one could be shorter?
I don't know. I like these. I like these long ones though because they're always hilarious.
Yeah.
So here we go. When college professor Peter Proud begins to experience flashbacks from a previous incarnation, he is mysteriously drawn to a place he has never been before, messed that up. But which is troublingly familiar. As if drawn to her by cosmic force, he soon finds himself unwittingly in the company of his previous incarnation's wife. This woman, Marcia Curtis, recognizes in Peter startling characteristics which he shares with her dead husband Jeff. Even the sound of his voice seems at times to be that of the dead man. Peter becomes romantically drawn to Ann Curtis, who is, or was, his daughter. Parentheses, Jeff and Marcia's daughter. They're trying to keep you up to speed here, folks. Like if you're already confused, the synopsis writer is trying to keep you in the loop. Recognizing the incestuous nature of their relationship, Mrs. Curtis tries to keep the two young people apart. But how? Must she reveal the terrible secret of the final minutes she shared with her husband in order to keep this man from her parentheses, daughter?
Oh my God.
I don't know what I just read. That seems horribly convoluted. So I guess he's in love with his daughter because he's a reincarnation of the father.
Yeah, I got lost when you fumbled with the words in the beginning. I tuned out. No, I'm like, no kidding. I want to say I might have actually seen this years ago, but I don't. It's because I remember the title and Margot Kidder being in it, but then again, she's done a lot of movies around this time period, so I may have just mixed it up. I don't know.
I was really interested in this one mostly because when I saw the extra list, because it has a 4K restoration, an audio commentary by a film historian, which are the best ones, Spanish extra scenes, TV and radio spots, animated galleries, trailers. Like it's a packed disc, so I was hoping the movie was somewhat good for it to deserve that kind of treatment.
No, I from what I remember, I've heard it was a pretty well received movie. So,
okay,
and Margot Kidder, so you can't really go wrong.
Yeah.
And and the reason why, which you'll find out shortly, is J. Lee Thompson also directed our feature today.
That's right. Yep. Next up is a TV series. This one is called Haunted. And I'd never heard of this series, and I'm like, why did I not hear of this? Well, I found out why. I think there's only 7 episodes released. I remember
it actually, and I wanted to watch it, and never got around to it. So now I guess I can watch it all.
Yeah, this one was from 2002, starring Lost Matthew Fox. After having a near-death experience, ex-cop turned private eye Frank Taylor learns that he has the ability to see and communicate with restless ghosts of murdered people who ask for his help in solving their deaths.
This is funny. This is very similar to the show Julie really loved to watch, Saving Hope, which is a hospital drama, but there was a twist to it where the main character he had a near-death experience at the beginning of the show, the first episode, I guess, and he could see people, but they weren't actually dead. They were just usually in comas, and he would be able to see them, and he could help. Sometimes he would help solve what happened to them, or help them, kind of connect to them so that he could tell them medically what to do. But it was like a small feature of this entire medical show. It was weird, but it was kind of an interesting show. It lasted about 5 seasons. I believe it was in Canada.
Did you ever watch Pushing Daisies?
No, but I heard that was really good.
That was a really great show. I mean, it's more of a comedy, but that one he could wake up dead people for like a minute, and then he had to put them back. He would try to solve murders based on what they told him when they were in that brief period of being alive again. So it's kind of the same kind of premise.
And it's funny because it's similar to this similar plot line is to also Ghost Whisperer, which will star Jennifer Love Hewitt, and her series fared much better than her Party of 5 co-stars.
Yes,
apparently.
It did. Yeah. All right. The last one on our list is The Lodgers, which we did in episode 49. So go back and listen to that one if you have not already.
I'm totally picking this one up.
Yeah.
This probably would be. I probably wouldn't say pick of the week just because it was kind of like I was gonna get it anyway. I probably actually now I think lean towards Peter Proud. Actually, I know we didn't really write down what our pick of the weeks were, but Peter Proud just looks like such a great disc.
Yeah, I thought that's a strong contender. I would probably go with Annihilation just because I really enjoyed that movie. But yeah, Peter Proud's a good second pick for sure. The Lodgers, of course, was directed by Brian O'Malley, starring David Bradley, Charlotte Vega, Mo Dunford. 1920, rural Ireland. Anglo-Irish twins Rachel and Edward share a strange existence in their crumbling family estate. Each night, the property becomes the domain of a sinister presence, the Lodgers, which enforces 3 rules upon the twins. They must be in bed by midnight. They may not permit an outsider past the threshold, and if one attempts to escape, the life of the other is placed in jeopardy. When troubled war veteran Sean returns to the nearby village, he's immediately drawn to the mysterious Rachel, who in turn begins to break the rules set out by the Lodgers. The consequences pull Rachel into a deadly confrontation with her brother and with the curse that haunts them. So, if you go back and listen to our episode, Brian and I really enjoyed this one. This was part of our Irish horror series. But yeah, really, really good movie. No special features that I can
find. I know
it's...
Yeah, I was going to say, no, I did look this up. There is a special feature. It is, it's a documentary on there about how to connect Charlotte Vega to Charlotte Rae.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Just like we discussed. So we were way ahead of our time.
Nice. Theatrical releases, nothing to speak of, but you know why? Because we got Solo hitting theaters.
Yes.
This weekend. I'm probably going to go see it this weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have my tickets for tomorrow night, which is last night when the podcast drops.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, so we're right on target for a short show, so let's go right into our feature.
Wow, we are.
Yeah, our feature presentation, Happy Birthday to Me, from 1981, directed by J. Lee Thompson, starring Melissa Sue Anderson, who you all know as Suck Up Mary on Little House on the Prairie.
Yes.
Glenn Ford.
Oh, and you did a rhyme there, too.
Yeah, you're right. Glenn Ford, Lawrence Dane. At the snobby Crawford Academy, Virginia's group of friends start to go missing years after horrible events that happened to her as a child around her birthday. So I have to talk some Little House on the Prairie. So yes. Kevin was the original, my brother Kevin was the original Little House on the Prairie fan. I watched it religiously in syndication growing up. We both did. But he's the one that kind of brought it back in adulthood and started really digging into it. I think he had all the VHS tapes. That's how far back he's been a fan. I only got into it fairly recently where I really started going back and watching all the episodes. I just finished season 1. But I was telling Brian, I think we snipped it out of the last podcast because I think we'd actually recorded it in the last show. And we were kind of talking about, I wonder if there's a podcast dedicated to Little House on the Prairie. Yeah. And I found one called Little House on the Podcast. And it's written by Kim Reed. She's the host. She used to be a TV blog. I think she still is a TV blog writer where she would do recaps of like the real world and stuff like that. Kind of snarky recaps. She would hate watch these shows. So her podcast is basically a hate watch of Little House on the Prairie. It's not really a hate watch because she does like a lot of it, but she points out idiosyncrasies. She points out anachronisms. She points out logical fallacies, and she makes fun of the characters, so it's always fun. But she calls Mary Suck Up Mary, and she implies that Carrie fell out of the loft at some point, and that's why Carrie is the way she is. So it's a pretty funny podcast if you are a Little House fan. But that's what I got to say about that. I will say, watching Melissa Sue Anderson undress in this movie was a little unnerving because I was so used to seeing her as Mary in Little House. I really did not want to see that. So it's got to be weird growing up with that. And see, I had seen this when I was a kid, so I think when I saw this, I don't think I had discovered Little House on the Prairie yet, even though it was probably on. I think, I discovered this first. I had the reverse effect. I'm like, why is she putting so many clothes on? No, I'm okay. But this one was interesting. You know what? I was thinking, Brian, I was like, why did these early slashers, they had these crazy convoluted plots?
This time period, yes, it did. It was very, very strange. And this one was probably, it's funny because there was also the ones that were, pretty straightforward, like Friday the 13th and stuff like that. But this one kind of had, I kind of wrote down here that had similar vibes to like a Terror Train, My Bloody Valentine, which is funny because My Bloody Valentine was actually produced by the same people, Andre Link and John Dunning, so who also did the sequel too. So it's some of the similarities there are probably obvious. They're basically obvious why there's similarities, I guess.
Right. Yeah. But I was watching this. I'm like, geez, this is harder to follow than one of those Mission Impossible movies. It gets kind of crazy, but I think they were kind of all trying to outdo one another in the big twist, because all the movies obviously had to have a big twist in it. So
yes,
you had to get these more convoluted plot lines to try to surprise people, I guess, even that early on in the slasher era. But
yeah, and this one had unusual. It had unusual pacing to it that
it really did. It really did.
But it never was boring. It was a unusual pacing in the terms of that it was it kind of almost like the kills came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
that
the
makes
kills.
sense.
It wasn't like most slashers you have like the kills are set up and then the kill. And then maybe the payoff of the body at the end or something. But this one is just weird. It's like the kills were like oddly spaced.
Yeah,
or something. It was really strange.
Yeah, and we should probably preface it now. We're gonna try and obviously stay away from several details to avoid any tipping of the twists or anything. If you haven't seen it yet, I mean, I know it's an old movie. I definitely think that if you have not seen it and you're a big fan of 80s slashers, then jump on this right away, because this is I think this is one of the best, and this is one of my favorites. As I kind of like, I wrote here too, it was one of those ones that I had watched repeatedly through my formative horror years.
Yeah.
Basically when I first got cable. So, but yeah, it's pretty funny. This has a lot of funny little trivia pieces to this too. Should go one of them. So I know a lot of you, if you've seen the iconic poster, was the shish kebab going in the guy's mouth kind of thing. So it's funny, as there was a trivia, it said most ads and posters for the film carried a photo of a young man about to be orally impaled with a skewer of meat and vegetables with the slogan, "John will never eat shish kebab again." However, there was no character in the movie with this name.
Well, they just figured it. He looked like a John, I guess.
Yeah, there was, and it's funny, throughout the trivia, I noticed they said there were like a lot of one sheets, I guess, where they actually were saying it's the most unusual kills you'll ever see. Because remember at that time too, they were trying to one up each other on kills as well as plot.
Yeah. And this one had some good kills in it. I'll have to say.
It had some great ones.
I mean, can we go through the kills, because that doesn't give away any of the plot?
Yes,
lines.
no, that won't give it away. That you see coming. So.
Yeah, so you had one of my favorites was the workout bench kill.
Oh yeah,
where you have and you see this in a lot of movies, I think, where because weights are inherently scary to me because I'm not strong. So
same here.
I don't like the idea of having a large dumbbell poised above my head. But of course, this guy is doing the number one rule that you're not supposed to do, which is lift weights without a spotter.
Right.
So the spotter in this case turns out to be a killer. So instead of taking weights off, he's just adding them on. Which is great.
I mean, and the funny thing is, at first he kind of like almost thinks it's his friend, and he's kind of saying, "Oh yeah, put another one on," but he keeps, the killer keeps putting it on more. And I this is as a quick tale, I actually did the Cardinal Rule. I broke the Cardinal Rule and did once bench press without a spotter, and realized that the weight was too heavy that I had after a couple of reps, and I needed to somehow like almost squirm my way out from underneath the weights, because I could not lift it anymore. No one was around.
Oh my gosh.
And the closest person, probably I could have said, "Hey, can you help me?" But I was too embarrassed. So I figured, you know what? Let me just try and slither out and hope this does not break my neck or something. But so I did get out, obviously, because I'm here talking to everyone. But yeah, so
because it would be less
rule.
Embarrassing to just drop a giant dumbbell on the floor,
right? which ended up as I got out, it did kind of land with a thud, kind of on one side, which did have a couple of people turn around. But I just kind of I forgot what I did. I played it off somehow I'm like, this stupid thing didn't tie or tighten enough, or I said something, I don't know, but I don't think they bought it. A bunch of muscle guys, me, scrawny me there. So
now the shish kebab kill is great. It comes out of nowhere. That's all I'll say about that. But that's a great one. And then
that's all you'll say about that.
That's all I got to say about that. And then the Then the scarf kill, which is great. Yeah, scarves look inherently dangerous too because you're wrapping them around your neck.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, this guy is arrogant in the movie. He's fixing his motorcycle with a lot of moving parts with this long, obnoxious scarf inside. He does not need to be wearing it. As far as I'm concerned, he deserved everything he got.
If you obnoxiously wear a scarf, you deserve to die by it.
You do. No offense to, Harry Potter or anything.
No.
That's required.
But he doesn't wear it obnoxiously. That's the difference.
He doesn't. That's true. Yes, he does wear it fashionably. Yes, there's a difference. So
I do own a scarf, I will have to say.
Oh no, hey, wintertime I'm always wearing a scarf, but it's short and I don't go standing in front of motorcycles.
Well, I've got a real long one because my dad got me, and the thing is, winter in North Carolina is like, it's not anything like it is up north. So, most of the time it's 70 and then it'll be 30 for like a couple weeks and then it'll be 70 again. So you never get a real chance to wear a scarf, but my dad got me this overcoat. And it's got a fashion scarf that goes with it. So
look at you.
Yeah, so it's got it's snazzy. Like it's got a scarf that kind of hangs perfectly down the correct length. But I did get on.
Well, now you need to post yourself wearing that on Instagram for all our.
Oh yeah, well I got super cold one day and I was able to just kind of do the whole scarf thing where I just wrapped it around fashionably.
Did you put a pipe in your mouth?
No, but I wish I had one because it would have been.
And a monocle? Did you do all that?
I may have to post even though it's summer now, I may have to post my scarf picture.
Do it on a Throwback Thursday.
Yeah, we could see if then guys can tell if I'm wearing it obnoxiously or fashionably, and then we could do a poll.
Yeah, we'll do a vote on Twitter. We'll do one of those voting buttons.
Yeah, scarf, fashionable or obnoxious?
Yes.
And then if you vote obnoxious, then I will promise never to wear it that way again while standing beside a motorcycle.
Poor Tim, yes, and poor Tim will now be cold on his random one or 2 days. It's cold in Carolina. So, but yeah, overall, I have to say, I don't want to give, like we said, we don't want to give too much away because it's a film definitely to be discovered and to enjoy all the surprises and twists and turns, the way you should see it. But I will say, it really to me, I think this was, I know a lot of people thought, this, and it was the dawn of the slasher around this time, but it's easy to forget how great they were. By doing this podcast, I got to kind of relive them all, and it's really been, I'm just like, look at how great this was for its time. Now, and the slashers had eventually become just these total gore fests. Not that that's anything wrong with it. Hence, gore is in the title of our podcast. But something's never been the same from these early 80s slashers that have just been so great. Filled with surprisingly a lot of substance and some really great performances. There's Glenn Ford in it, and
yeah. And Melissa Sue Anderson was great in it, I thought.
Yeah. Oh, she was fantastic, and she had to play kind of a unique role for her, based off of all the years of being,
Suck
Little
Up
House
Mary,
on the Prairie.
Yeah.
I was going to say Laura Ingalls, and I know that's incorrect.
Mary,
I know. I don't know why I almost said that. I forgot. And I watched that show. In fact, it was on earlier tonight when I got home. I was scrolling through, and I saw it. It was season 7, but I'm I don't know. Maybe I'll do a Tim and start watching it from season 1 again.
Oh, incidentally, my mom met Melissa Gilbert, who played Laura, because she was signing a cookbook that she did, a Little House on the Prairie cookbook, actually. And she was in town signing it. My mom got to meet her and said she was just the nicest lady you'd ever want to meet. So
she seems nice. She seems like she'd be really cool.
And but she signed. My mom bought a copy of the cookbook for us. So I've got a signed Melissa Gilbert cookbook made out to me and Olivia, which is cool.
Nice.
So that was kind of a little trivia throw back there. But it's nice to know because Laura was always my favorite on the show, and it's nice to know she grew up into a woman that seems to be really, really nice too. So
no, she was mine too, and it was Melissa Sue Anderson was the one, right, that ended up she became blind at some point. Right?
I was half expecting her to go blind during this movie, actually.
Yeah. So. Right. Yeah. Because I remember when I was watching it, when I was seeing it in syndication and in order. I remember that was such a shocking thing for me.
Oh, and people hate that's a divisive thing. If the Mary going blind thing, a lot of people hated that. I know I hated it. Even growing up, I hated it. So
Yeah, I mean, and then didn't something happen? There was a fire or something, and the house she was in or something. I remember there was a lot of at one point it became really. I mean, I know it always had some sort of drama to it, but there was also a lot of bit of whimsy and humor in it. But I remember there was one period of that show where it seemed like it was nothing but horrible things were happening.
Yeah, well, it had 10 seasons, so I'm just getting started on that journey, so I don't remember.
But you saw them all, right? But you saw them since then, right? I didn't spoil anything, right?
No. I've seen enough in syndication that I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So, but it's going to be interesting going back through the whole series and seeing the ups and downs. Now, I will say this: there is a Halloween episode, and I don't know which season it's in. I'm sorry, I should have done my research, but it's a fantastic Halloween episode. It's probably one of my favorite Halloween episodes of any show ever. But it's got like a sea monster in the lake in Walnut Grove. It's got a whole subplot where they think Mrs. Olsen's husband killed her by chopping her head off. I mean, it is crazy.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember that one?
Yeah, yes. Now, that part I remember.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
I remember thinking her head chopped off. Oh my God, that's right.
Oh, it's such a good episode. I cannot wait till I get to that episode in my watching, but.
Oh yeah, well then you got to let us know which which episode that is.
Yeah, I'll have to let you know. But yeah. So this was great performances. One thing I was going to say when you're talking about that was it makes me miss the early '80s slashers because the ones today are always they're always wink wink nod nod they're always kind of too self aware, and I think that came from Scream, which at the time was great. That was hysterical. I loved it, but now it's like. Can we get back to a real slasher? I don't know if we can ever get back there because there's too much history now. So everything's derivative. Everything kind of is a nod to something in the past. And I don't know how you get around that and make it feel original again when it's clearly not because it's 30 years later. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I think you just have to, I mean... not to coin the phrase again, but you do your research, you look at the ones that have been and just watch those again. I mean, we still have not touched on a lot of them, I would say, from the time period, but I know we've hit some of our favorites, which is good. And actually, well, you hadn't seen Curtains, which was great. I hadn't
Curtains
seen
was awesome.
Tourist Trap. I think that was 79, but that time period. So it was great that even just Tim and I alone are discovering them through doing this podcast, and it's it brought me right back to remembering I'm watching this on cable all the time, and I always remember the one that stood out the most. Funny enough, even though the shish kebab was in the box art, it was that scarf kill. Always, I remember that because of the commercial that it used to show on whatever cable channel was on at the time, HBO or the movie channel. Those are the only two that I really had at that point. It was that, and they would show that in the little quick commercial for it. And so I remember that stood out. And I just remember this is one of the ones I always watched, just like I did Curtains and My Bloody Valentine around that time when I'm on cable. So it really brings you back, and it just shows that they had something there. They had a really good, people can make fun of the 80s all they want, but there were some great stuff, especially horror-wise, that came out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. So our beer pairing this week, Brian, tell us about that.
Yeah, so this was actually harder enough because I kept saying happy birthday beer and, my usual form of trying to find these things. And the only thing that would come up for it was happy birthday beer candles or beer glasses that said happy birthday, and I was like, all right, this has got to go a different way here. So I was trying to find something that represented the cast of it, and they were snobby. They were that elite group of people that kind of even though you were supposed to, I guess, kind of root for them, you kind of still hated them, even Melissa Sue Anderson, which I thought was hard to not like. But, they always had something because they were snobby. So I found a beer called Overprivileged, which I thought was pretty funny for that, based on those kids. And it was from a brewery called Old Nation Brewing Company in Williamston, Michigan. And this is a 11.8%, actually. That's pretty high. They're double imperial stout. And it was twice fermented, steel aged for 9 months. And it says it makes for an imperial stout that is drinkable even with that high ABV. And it has flavors of spiced chocolate and roasted notes.
Oh, that sounds like one Olivia would love. She loves those real heavy stouts.
Yeah, and she likes stouts and porters, right?
Yeah,
That's her thing.
She's like the thicker, the blacker. I mean, she was like into those. I like stouts, but it's like it's something I like on occasion. I'm not. I mean, she would drink them all the time.
Yeah,
if she could.
Well, I got to take you guys to next time you're back in New York. We'll take you to Three's Brewery because that's actually one of what I'm drinking right now. It's Voluntary Exile and it's a Baltic Porter and it is fantastic.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to get you over there to Three's. That's one of the best breweries in our area.
All right, our 6 degrees of decapitation last week. We asked you to connect Robert Englund to Engelbert Humperdinck. How's that for random?
I just can't get over that.
Yeah.
I laugh at myself.
So we could do this in 3. So Robert Englund was in Red with Tom Sizemore. Tom Sizemore. Tom Sizemore was in. This is why we edit, folks. Tom Sizemore was in Watch It with Michael Hughes, and Michael Hughes was in Chamber.
I think it was Chambra Apart. I couldn't figure. I couldn't figure out how to do the little effect on the word.
What do they call that? Accent mark? I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, not a tilde. That's Spanish. This was French. So whatever that little
thing is.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was in that with Engelbert Humperdinck. Interesting. So this week, we're going to ask you to connect Melissa Sue Anderson to Anderson Cooper.
Yeah. And I will tell you this. This was about the 7th one I was debating about because the only one, believe it or not, that was over 2. So I'll give you a hint that you can get it in 3. But literally every other combination I was trying, the most random, bizarre ones you can imagine, we're still coming back with 2 connections. So this one at least has 3. So have fun with this one.
That one looks fun. All right, so we do have some programming notes for next week. I'm going on travel. So another coaster trip with Kev. So we're going to be going out to Indiana. So for that reason, we will be having another short show next week. What we decided to do instead of doing a film is we will be doing the Summer Slaycation preview because that's coming up real quick.
Yeah.
Of course, if you remember last year's Summer Slaycation was when we would devote 2 weeks to a major horror franchise. Now, last year we did Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 4 biggies. And this year, I know Hellraiser is going to be one of them.
Child's Play
is one. I think we're going to do Psycho, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was one. I think we have a couple for 3 and 4, based on the 4, but those first 2 are locked in. Oh, what was we bought the box set for it?
Oh, Phantasm.
Phantasm.
Yeah,
yes, thank you.
Yeah, that
was
probably
the
be
other
our
one.
4 that we'll cover. But that should be a fun series. I think we had a blast with that one last year. So.
Oh yeah, those are really fun. Usually we'll do a couple of skits throughout, which those are fun episodes.
Yeah, and we're also going to do listener questions next week. So if you have any questions you want to ask me or Brian, it does not have to be horror related.
Yes,
obviously it can be, but it does not have to be. Anything's on topic, off topic, we don't care. And just submit those through Twitter at Civil Gore Pod. You can comment on I posted a submission thing on our Facebook page. You can comment there. You can send us a email at civilgorepodcast@gmail.com. Just any questions in the world you want us to read on the air and answer, and we will be happy to do that.
Yes, we'll do our best to answer whatever it is.
Yep. So that should be
no matter how embarrassing. Like if you want to ask how long Tim's scarf is.
Yeah.
We'll even measure it and give you the right answer.
Or if you want to tell us why does our show feature such terrible impressions and puns?
Yeah, exactly.
And I will say it's all Brian's fault.
Yeah, it probably is. And your question could be, why is Tim always threatened to fire Brian, but yet he still comes back week after week? That might be I might have just given away a big question for someone to ask. Watch, we'll get 30 of those. Yes, by the way, why is that?
Why is your show so terrible?
Yes. One could be, hey, how does Olivia and Julie put up with those 2 guys?
Now, that's a question I ask myself every day.
I know, me too. We ask that one ourselves. We may just ask our own questions. And Tim and I we should have it one for each other, too, that will surprise each other.
That's an excellent idea. We'll do that.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
All right, so that'll be fun, guys. We'll see you back here next week. That show I believe it should drop at the normal time. It's just going to be a slightly shorter episode, just like we did this week. Yeah. So We'll see you back here next week.
And remember, happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday, Brian.